don't be scared to leave because these people are not your family. The worst trick that we ever got taught was the terminology that we've used around business. Because terminology and word usage around business creates a different dynamic and feelings are attached to those words. When you say somebody is family, there's a loyalty aspect there. This is why people use those words, right? It's a loyalty aspect there.
Right.
The only thing that I am loyal to is myself. I
Right.
am not loyal to anything or any business.
Hi, this is Mark Thompson back with another Let's Dream Big podcast. Dream streaming all day long. Again, your interview expert here with another banger and a very incredible, wholesome, special guest that I have with us today. She is a business strategist. She is a product leader. She is a entrepreneur. She is a I don't know what, she does everything. To me, she's Superwoman. But I want to have her on this show so you all can meet her. Her incredible resume is profound. It is definitely something that you all need to know and also get to meet the incredible Kenyetta Hall. Say what's up, Kenyetta.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, glad you could be on here today. Glad you could be with me. I'm smiling more and also having a bad hair day. So you guys get to see the chill me, but I do got the new CTA swag. So we're here to have a little fun. And let's talk about Miss Kenyetta Hall. So I'm going to jump right into it because it's dinner time. I know you got to eat. And let's jump into it. So let's tell the people who Kenyetta Hall is. Who is Miss Kenyetta Hall? And what do we need to know?
Well, where do I start? So let's start with the product leader because I think people really don't know what that means. When Mark says product leaders, I've been in product management. So for all of those who don't know, but product management is the management of building of software. So that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years is working in a product management role, product leader role, fractional CPO role, chief product officer roles. I've been involved in a couple startups. And here I am today. Of course, I am always a business strategist. Strategy always comes first. And I've done some business coaching. Now I am a professor at UNC, Shoot for Entrepreneurship program, and I teach brand for social impact. Outside of those teaching endeavors and being a product leader, I have my own company. So 2 things that I do is I help people pivot into products. So mid-career professionals with 4+ years of experience understand how to use their transferable skill sets and learn product to move into product. So getting you positioned for the position. And then I also have a space to where we train with that company. It's called the Agile Product Dojo. And with that company, we also train product leaders and teams to be better product leaders and to be better product teams to operate more efficiently and effectively. And then, of course, I have a whole other space called the Catalyst HQ where I work with entrepreneurs and organizations to build end-to-end solutions when it comes to developing customized software solutions. So we can take your product from idea to launch and beyond. Super focused on those core things now. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But that's what I do.
That's a big nutshell.
But you know what? That's what I do, but it's not who I am. Right. I think there's a distinction between that. I'm a person who has chosen this pathway because I want time and financial freedom, and I want the ability to do the things I want to do and to have purpose and profit because they both can exist in the same space. And I am using entrepreneurship and corporate and all of the above because you can do it all as a way to do that.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. I know we met. I don't know. When did we meet? I don't remember where we met. I just know we met through friends.
We did.
Years ago.
I feel like it's been a long time ago.
It's been a decade or more. But ever since I've known you, ever since I met you, I knew you had a skill set. You had knowledge. You had talent. You had all of these things. I'm like, who is this woman? Why is she so smart? Why is she so incredibly smart on so many different things? Like, you know, now that we're having this conversation, I want to dig deep into your mind. Who made you? Who got you? Who put Kenyetta Hall in this position to where she is a web of information? She is a web of talent. She's a connector. She is a networker and a valuable asset to whoever connects with her. Where did that all start?
With my daddy, so with my
Shout out to
parents.
dads out there. Good
Right.
dads.
Shout out to moms. Shout
Oh,
out to
yes.
dads. Shout out to moms. Shout out to them both, because my parents really firmly believed in me, supported me at an unprecedented level. And I think that's super important. They didn't steer me to do anything. They said, if that's what you want to do, we can support that. Did that come with tough love? Yes, because I don't want nobody to think that that's not how it was, but it was like that. I remember I was playing basketball. My dad was like, if you're gonna be a left-handed, be the best left-handed person you can be. Right? Don't half step that. I would say I carried that into my adult life, but my pathway and my life has not been traditional considering my background. Went to private school all my life. Chose junior college, played basketball there. Transferred to NC State. Then got my MBA at UNC. And after I graduated from NC State, my undergraduate, you would have thought, oh, I went and worked for a big company. I did not. I went and worked for a real estate firm. And then I didn't like my boss. And then I quit. And I went back to the daycare that I was working at while I was in college, while I was an undergrad at NC State. So I went back there because I realized those were the people. You know how you need to know somebody.
Yep.
Well, the people at the daycare were the people you need to know. So I skipped that part, right? I didn't need that other part. I need to go right to them. And I had a 5-minute spiel, and I was there for a year, and I ended up moving into doing government contracting with a contract manufacturing organization, contract research organization. Then I stayed in the contract and grant space for a while, and y'all, I hated it. I hated it. I'm very knowledgeable about it, but those people in contract and grants get the love they deserve. That work is hard and it is thankless. And my personality does not need to be sitting behind somebody's desk all day. And I wish I would have known that and was confident in that earlier on in my career. And I probably would have stayed in contracts and grants for as long as I did. But also, I never stayed at a job longer than I never stayed at a job longer than two and a half years.
Gotcha.
The longest job that I had was 3.9 years. Longest job that I've ever had. So I believe in. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. But that's the longest job I've ever had. My dad taught me a couple things. He was like, I knew early on I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how to access that. And I wish I was honest with myself earlier on that what I wanted to be, and that I didn't have all the answers and asked for help earlier, then I think I would have had a different trajectory. But we are, right?
Right.
But my dad taught me some things. One of those was like, you don't want to work for nobody else. Take notes on the things that you don't want to happen in your business, right?
Right.
And if you're not growing, you die. And lastly is you shouldn't stay for a job for longer than 2 years because you don't plan on moving up anyway. So even when I would come back and be like, I'm so sick of this, Dad, I used to cry about not being able to move up or being looked up over by a manager because I'm still grappling with society's definition of success and how that looked for me to grow. And then this one I had for myself and what me and my dad talked about, I was still grappling with that. Even though my parents never told me to grapple with that, I was grappling with that. And so my dad used to be like, what you crying for? Do you want to work for people for the rest of your life? I was like, no, it doesn't, man. He was like, okay, then if that's not what you want, then this is what you need to do.
Right.
And he installed those nuggets in me that I didn't really pay attention to, but I unconsciously lived them because I never stayed at a job except for one longer than 2 years. Right. And I gained more and more confidence over time.
Yeah, the Mr. Miyagi in the house, huh?
I did. And then so I end up, my way of getting out of proposals was going to get my MBA. I wasn't going to get my MBA to, oh my God, I really wanted to do this. That was never my reason.
Right.
My reason was that I had racked up too much experience in proposals. And what people fail to realize is that when you rack up too much experience in a space that you don't want to be in, you pigeonhole yourself. And so I was like, I got to get out, but how do I get out if I can't get the experience in a different space? But I could get the experience in school,
Right.
because school is going to provide you a number of different types of experiences and encounters with different types of people and businesses and leaders that you would not have the ability to get in contact with outside of that place of structure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I use school for, right? So I went and got my MBA, and it definitely changed my trajectory. I got my MBA, and I had also prayed to God. As I was getting my MBA, I prayed to God, help me be okay with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because I knew that I knew that I needed to be uncomfortable, and I needed to be okay with being uncomfortable. And so right before my MBA graduation, I quit / got fired, matter of perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from a job. I note that because I want people to understand that everybody's trajectory is not that I went up there and I became a VP and now I'm starting off on my own. No, that wasn't even my
Right.
trajectory at all. And that because it wasn't my trajectory doesn't mean it takes away from my knowledge. And back then I thought it did, right? That's what I was fighting so much, that I wasn't in the spaces that I thought I needed to be validated as an expert or to be validated as an entrepreneur who knew something or a coach or a business consultant who knew something. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need that. But went back, got my MBA. Before I graduated, I quit before I got fired. And then I ended up moving to another company. I jumped
Mm-hmm.
from making 56 to 50. And after I get my MBA, made 85K.
Wow. Wow. That's how you plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how we say that's how you plan, but the title of today's podcast for you is
Is
learning to pivot in your career. And
yes. Now,
you
mind you,
basically illustrated those pivots, you know.
exactly. And mind you, I was out of work for 2 months.
Mm,
2 months, and literally within 2 months I had a job. But you know where I got that job from? Not because I randomly applied, but because I told people in my class that I had quit my job, and they was like,
mm,
oh, what you looking for? And I had made a decision I wasn't going to look for any more proposal jobs, so I only applied to strategist jobs because I realized in MBA school that I was good at strategy. I knew I was good at strategy. MBA going to get my business degree validated that I was good at strategy.
right.
And so I just the people in my class. So I had somebody in my class. He was like, "Oh, tell me what you want, and I'll submit you internally." I was like, "Great." Did that. He called me one day and said, "They call you yet?" I was like, "No, they ain't called me yet." And he was like, "Hold on." Call the hiring manager, and then I received a phone call. Um. So yeah,
Networking. Networking, the power of
and I'm a
networking.
network queen. Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm
This
gonna do, somebody gonna know me,
you
and I'm
have
gonna know them.
just you drop in itty bitty nuggets, but they're so powerful because in that you had to find yourself. You found yourself. Then you started understanding your worth and your value. Then you started making it more valuable that nobody had to say no. So that networking aspect, a lot of folks that I
Yep,
talk to, and even with my course, I'm like, hey, if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's coming to your door. You got to let
for
people
sure.
know you're ready, that you're seeking a career, that you want more, that you do want to be in these fields, and you're actually going to attract what you want. Got to put it
Yes,
out there.
and also too, stop tying your personal worth with the worth in the market. I
Mm,
think understanding that when we talk about worth, people are acting as if it's a personal attack on you when somebody doesn't choose you, because it is very personal to us. It's like
right,
entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a personal thing,
right.
but you have to over time begin to understand that it's not even about you when these jobs don't pick you. You are a number of people in a pool of people, right? And
Hmm.
that's what it is, right? So don't tie your personal worth, your skill set to somebody's no or your feelings about what that is, because that's projection onto that. So that's one thing I always tell people because it makes it easier. Number two, pink slips go both ways.
You're right. You're right.
Okay, like let's be very clear about that. Pink slips go both ways. And you have to get in a habit of interviewing people to see if it's a good fit for you, just as they're interviewing you to see if it's a good fit for them. Like, I was in an interview one time. I was interviewing for a proposal position. I had told myself I wasn't going to interview for a proposal position to an MBA
Hmm.
program anymore. My friends used to call me the interview queen because I can always get an interview. I'm like, hey, I'm always going to make it to the final rounds,
Right.
you know? And he was like, "Dang, you go." I was like, "Listen here, I know how to do it." But I knew I wasn't going to interview anyone for proposals. My last one, because I had made that decision. If I'm going to make this pivot into strategy, then I need to lean all the way into it. And so I went to the interview because my friend worked at this company at the time, and she got me the interview because it's very rare that I actually get a job introduction that's not from somebody I know there. That's a rarity for me. So I went to the interview. I already knew I didn't want the job, but I went, and what I said was, after her whole spiel about the job, I said, "Well, I think this job is too administrative for me, but here's what I can do, and here's where I'm really good at." It surprised her because most people operate in the space of, "I really need this space."
Right.
Right. And so she was impressed. I talked to the VP. He was impressed. I said the same thing to him. Like, nothing changed
Right.
about that for me.
Right.
And it went from them, I didn't get that job, but I also didn't want that job,
Right.
to them looking for me jobs within the corporation because they felt like I should be there.
They need you.
And
That's a
so
real
none of
need.
the jobs I had panned out, but it was fine because to know that I was able to get up there and say something like that in an interview and it not be off-putting to somebody, or somebody respects that. Those are the type of things I look at when I look at companies. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I have a list of things that I need in order to be successful, that I evaluate when I do interview, that I evaluate companies on. And money for me actually was number 4. It was.
Yeah, there's a book behind me that talks about that. And you can take a test on that, an assessment. A lot of folks have to understand about the assessments. There's assessments out here that'll help you understand what you value more. It could be family, it could be money, it could be your time. I think there's another category as well, but if you can understand what that is for you, that helps you understand what you need to ask for in interviews, but also what jobs are there for you.
Yeah.
Money, like I said, sometimes money is everything. I think me was time. It was time, then it was money. Actually, it was time, family, then money. Even though I want more money for a new career, but my family is important. Can you help me with a better work-life balance? Can you help me with supporting what duties I'm going to have responsibility? Is it going to drown me into the weekends? These questions are important, but again, to know thyself, then you have an
Yes.
opportunity to understand how you can actually address it. That's awesome what you said. You went in there.
Yes.
Hey,
And 2 is
great job.
knowing the season that you're in to have those things too. Because what happens is I can make a blanket statement like that. And like, you got to know your 4 core things. You
Right.
need to know your 4 core things in relation to the season that you're in. If the
Yes.
season that you're in, the number of money is number 4, that's great. But if season is and money is number 1, then you need to understand that money is number 1. And there's some things you're going to sacrifice in order to get to that space, because there are
Right.
things you will fundamentally have to do that you do not want to do in order to get where you want to go. And you got to start being comfortable with pulling those triggers too.
Exactly. I think something that you said that I connect back to it is that you like being uncomfortable, but getting uncomfortable is giving you the confidence to be comfortable. So you put yourself in comfortable spaces. Now you're comfortable in the interview. You're comfortable with addressing a manager about what doesn't work and what will work for you. And that, again, you come in a resume and you tear apart our job description. I'm like, you know what? You did your homework. You found the loopholes.
Listen.
I need you. I need,
What people forget is that interviews are transactional relationships. I'm trying to give you my best of what I got, and you trying to give me the best too. And the problem is that people on the interview side, as the interviewee, are not
Right.
demanding that from the interviewers. This is
Right.
an equal playing field, because everything that we talk about is negotiable. I'm in the interview because y'all knew I was qualified, right? My resume got me here. So we're not actually talking about my qualifications. You want to see if I'm a good fit.
Right.
My qualifications on that resume told me I was qualified.
Agreed. Open the
You see what
door.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. I'm in the door. So now we
Yeah.
need to make sure that this is the party for me.
Right.
And when I say that is, I need to make sure that this is the party I want to come to.
Yep.
And y'all need to make sure that this is the party that y'all invited the right person.
Yep.
Which means that now we are on an equal playing field. This is not an imbalance of power.
Yep. It's a business relationship. and I'm
Yes,
trying to
and you
build
get to
it.
be yes, and you can be more comfortable. Like on
Mm-hmm.
an interview one time, I told somebody I was in a water challenge. So I said, "Hey, listen, I'm in a water challenge." I was like, "So if y'all constantly see me drinking water, just know that
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm not on my mark." And they were laughing. They thought it was the funny thing. I was like, "Listen here, I'm just trying to be honest, y'all, while I'm on the
You,
call, because it is, and people need to understand that makes everybody feel more comfortable.
yes.
They don't. You don't have to be the best, but they do gotta like you because
Yes.
people work with people they like."
Exactly. You have to make them feel comfortable about you. Let's talk about that. So you're a Black woman in corporate America and an entrepreneur in these spaces, and they have to feel comfortable about who you are. Talk about the difficulties in, being a Black woman that is pretty primarily been successful in getting good jobs, great careers, but also understanding the pivot too.
So I think that being a Black woman is hard in corporate spaces. I think that we always are teetering on the space of being an angry Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, because you're assertive and you stand on what you believe. Because what you see oftentimes is that women spend way more time apologizing. And so what
Mm-hmm.
it does is that means the whole culture is used to women not stepping up, and excuse me, not stepping up, stepping into their power. That means if I do that, then I'm going against the cultural norm of women doing that.
Agree.
And now that's going to be the problem. So for me, I've always had to be mindful of the fact that I have to find fits that are comfortable with my personality. I'm just not going to be there long. And I needed, again, which I would have learned that earlier. A couple of jobs I probably
Right.
would have quit. Might have been a 6 month stint. Okay.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't, because I was trying to force a round peg into a square hole. And I think what people need to realize something. If you get into a job that you do not like, start looking for another one and quit, because it doesn't benefit you to stay. And all
Exactly.
it does is builds up resentment. But the problem is people are like, "Oh, well, what if you go to your next job interview and they ask you about that?" The power is in the narrative. Tell
Exactly.
them what happened. Tell them why you chose to leave. Hey,
Right.
I didn't feel like that space was a good cultural fit for me. The type of culture that I'm looking for are these things. See,
Right.
people forget is that when you start to define what it looks like to you, you also
Mm-hmm.
invite people into your space and you can repel them. So that's why you got to
Yes.
be very clear. So if I say, I left this space and here's what makes me perform better, they know what to expect. They
Right.
know how to incentivize that. And if those incentives that they have don't align with what I need, pink slip,
Yeah.
pink slip, because
Pink
we don't even
slip.
need to go any further.
Right. Right. I think along with that, because I've managed a lot of people over the years. I don't look like I've been doing this for 20 years, but I've been doing it for 20 years. And you see folks struggle with the fact that they want newer positions, and there's a fear to jump to something new. But that's why I preach to young folks, to anybody looking now, that you got to be intentional about yourself. If you're intentional about yourself, it makes it easier for you to go to another job. It makes it easy for you to think about, oh, I'm already ready. I already got a resume update. I've been intentional about me. So I've been staying up on my business acumen. I've been staying up on trending things in my industry. I've been networking consistently. So I have my bridges to other opportunities while I'm in this role. It's almost like some people do this in a dating pool. I'm not saying do this, but they have connections to other opportunities while they're at this one. Because if this one fails, I got somebody over here.
I
So
mean,
it
that's a fact.
happens.
And no, but that's a fact.
Mhm.
Don't be scared to leave because these people are not your family. The worst trick that we ever got taught was the terminology that we've used around business.
Mm,
Because terminology and word uses around business creates a different dynamic and creates a different dynamic, and feelings are attached to those words. When you say somebody is family, there's a loyalty aspect there. This is why people use those words, right? It's a loyalty aspect there. The
right,
only thing that I am loyal to is myself. I
right.
am not loyal to anything or any business.
And
It
my
is
brand,
I'm not
loyal to
I'm
my
loyal
brand.
to me. And my
Mm,
brand could change. right? A brand is a name, but me, what I need again, what I need in this season, how am I going to get that?
Right.
Right? And does this job provide me what I need? Long-term and short-term goals. What am I evaluating these things against? Because none of these things are either or. Because I think people think that things are so much black and white, and they're not. There, most majority of this stuff is gray.
That's a good
You're
segue.
evaluating, right? You're evaluating multiple variables.
So I was going to talk about, you just said long-term and short-term goals, and we haven't even gotten to the questions because we already just talked about it. So I love it. Great conversation. But say you're in that position, you're in a role, you're 50-50. You like it, you don't like it some days. But what is it when you start thinking about creating a plan for your future? How do you do that? Do I create a plan to either go to the other 50-50, or if I'm at 50-50, does that mean I'm probably more halfway out than I am in? I guess these are some questions that people may have or even think about when they talk about developing a plan for their career growth, but you got to make a choice. What do you
I
think?
think I think that if you have the great thing about developing a career plan when you have a job, it's you have stability.
Mm,
Stability provides you with a space to think, but it also provides you with the space to try. So if you're 50 in, 50 out, and you're not clear, what I don't want people to do is think that they can't try things before they make a decision. A lot of
right,
times we're forcing ourselves into making decisions when we haven't even tried to try some shit yet.
right,
Like, go try. Like, you know what? I like that. Let me go talk to somebody in that space. Let me go talk to somebody in another space that's heavily unrelated to that.
right.
Maybe what does that look like? And to know that you can then pick one, and then to also know that that choice is not forever.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Leave yourself open up to opportunities, not an opportunity. Opportunities. If I make this choice and it turns out to be a bad choice, then I just trust myself to make a different decision, another
mm-hmm.
decision, right? Entrepreneurship's the same way.
Yeah,
Things don't always pan out, but you have to trust yourself enough to make a different decision, to make another decision. At the
right.
end of the day, you need to be making decisions,
And
right?
not be
And
afraid.
trusting yourself along the way, right?
Yeah.
And fear is going to be there. Fear is going to be there. You learn to operate with it. You
Mm-hmm.
be like, well, listen here, look, I'm about to flick you off right now. You got to be in my back of my mind, or like when people come to me when they talk about moving into product, because I really focus on
Mm-hmm.
mid-career professionals pivoting into product management. And when I tell them, I'm like, well, what have you tried? If you've tried being a scrum master, if you tried being a product owner, product manager, you tried being a designer, those things are great.
Right.
Because one, you have now knowledge of these spaces,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have also a basis as to say what you like and you don't like. Like my dad, right? My dad be like, you don't know what you like or don't like until you try it.
Right.
It's a fact. Like you really don't know what you like or don't like until you give it a shot. So I think you have to tap into your inner child,
Yes.
right? And start trying. Start trying and start failing and start being okay with taking them no's to the chest, because what you have to believe and understand is that you as an adult have been taught to not fail for such a long time that you don't know how to get back up, and you
Exactly.
haven't tuned the muscle of getting back up. You got to
Yep.
tune that muscle. So go try and fail and do it again and again, because it's going to change the way you think about it. You're
Yep.
not internalizing it. You begin to make decisions from it. And sometimes what it teaches you too, because I know people always, we talk about failure being growth. For sure, failure is growth. And sometimes failure is failure. And
Yeah.
sometimes failure is a space where you feel bad and you learn to move through.
Yeah.
Because at the other side of moving through is a space of resilience that you need to have in order to take you to the next level and be sustainable there. You have to go through some things in order to be sustainable at the next level, not just to get there, but to stay there.
Yes. I agree. I
So
agree.
it's okay. You experience some growth, and sometimes you experience some pain. And sometimes but you learn how to make decisions, trust yourself, and learn how to move through those things, not around them, not avoid them, move through them.
Yes. That's perfect. Perfectly said. Going through the process, feeling the pains, the ups and downs, the positive and the failures create the product. This is how you get to
That's
the
right.
bag. I like saying it. This is how you get to the bag. Everybody who's been successful in life went through a storm. The people who went through
Multiple
that storm,
storms.
multiple storms. And guess what? After you go through a few storms and you navigated it well, a storm is like a raindrop. You can go through multiple storms and continue to do that because you understand that's how you achieve success for whatever it is that you want to do. Because now you've learned, you've
That's
excelled,
right.
you know how to
It
navigate.
become muscle memory to get back up.
Exactly.
There's a process. It's like playing basketball, right? You shoot 500 shots a day, not to make it, not just to make it, but to understand the mechanics, to learn to fix in the moment, to learn to think differently. But you can only, but that's achieved through repetition. That's
Right.
achieved through being in a scenario. That's achieved doing that. Why do you think people do those exercises in the military?
Yep.
Because it becomes muscle memory. It becomes an instinct.
You can have
Your
burpees.
instinct
I
going
don't
to be
want
like,
those.
right, yeah, you're right, I don't want those. So I say that because that's important. Like, I think that I say that because I came from a space, again, I've been known to quit a job, right? Like, that's
Right.
what it is. That doesn't mean I didn't sacrifice when I quit. I just chose me. And I was willing to take on what that sacrifice looked like.
Right.
That's why I always choose to tell my story in the path of, like, it's not traditional. I only stayed at a job 2.5 years, only one job, almost 4. Because it's important to note that my trajectory wasn't, well, I became the VP and it was great. Now I'm out here. Because that ain't my
Right.
trajectory.
Right.
Entrepreneurship failed for the first year and a half. It was hard.
Right.
I was going through, like, it could, entrepreneurship make you feel your emotions 10 times. Anything you're going through is exacerbated by that fact. I didn't have a job to support myself in that space, so I was, you eat what you killed, and that's
Yeah.
just what it is. So, it wasn't easy. I wasn't experiencing, 10K in 27 days because that's what you hear online. I
Oh my!
didn't
Every
experience
day,
that
all the
every
time.
day. It's stupid.
Imagine if
Um,
you could make $100,000 in it, whatever.
in 45 seconds, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
now we're getting ridiculous. But yeah, I say all that to say that my pathway is you're different. I want people to understand your pathway is going to be different. And so you start defining what success looks like to you and be okay with its evolution. Because it's one thing to define. You need to be okay that it will evolve and you evolve and have more scope and experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it
What you
best.
thought you liked, you may not like anymore, or what direction you thought you were headed, you may not be headed anymore. You can have multiple pivots in your career. You can have multiple businesses. Those all things can be true in your one lifetime. Be open to all of them.
And like one of my buddies said on our podcast, Lee Williams, he was like, whatever you do, you're leaving a legacy. No matter what you're doing, you're creating something. If you create a business, if you create any type of strategy, if you mentor, if you get out here and networking, somebody's remembering you just for the things you've done. So live your life wide. It's not about growing, being old. It's about living your life wide and impacting people. When you get down to the real niche of just being in your purpose of who you are as a person, that value comes back to you as well, and it does propel you in other areas that then opens doors for your career as well. So
Exactly.
it's a whole approach to life. When we're talking about career, we're talking about your personal strategy, we're talking about entrepreneurship. It's a lot to it. I think having
Yeah.
a purpose to everything that you're doing makes you connect to it better. And it doesn't make it less, it makes it less harder. It's going to be hard, but when you like it and you got a purpose to it, you want to do it more. You
hmm
have fun in it,
Yeah.
Um,
And your
and
purpose don't have to be that deep. Like, you don't have to
right.
always be some deep spiritual connection. Like, again, I want to be financially and time free. I use entrepreneurship and corporate as a vehicle to get to that. So that means that whatever that lends itself to not a binary thought process of right and wrong. It lends itself to making decisions with the best decision with the information I have at the time. And I think that's important to note, right? Like, these things are vehicles to get to the other stuff, right?
Yep.
Then they don't have to be the thing.
Right.
They're
Right.
the vehicles to get to the thing.
It's just the
And
consistency of
defining
your
the
growth.
thing, right. The defining the thing doesn't have to be like, I need to have the right job. The right
Right.
job so you can do what? Spend time with my family. Boom. That means that everything that leads up to that is a vehicle to
Yep.
get you to that.
Right. Well said. That's awesome. That's awesome. I got a lot of notes here. I take notes.
Yes.
This is my vehicle. You're dropping a lot of nuggets as far as everything right now. I think if anybody isn't taking notes, they should. I always practice that habit of taking notes so I can go back and review because I'm being taught by my friends. My friends are smart. Thank you, Kenyetta. What I think we talked about development. We talked about networking. We went into this organically. I didn't even have to ask the questions because this is the connection that we have as friends.
I agree.
And this is everything you've kind of explored. I just want to tie it together. This is
Mm-hmm.
a long-term career growth strategy. And I think that one of the things in here is that you're always moving forward. You don't get anything if you're going backwards. I remember my therapy sessions, my therapist used to say, if you look in the rearview mirror, you don't know where you're going. You always got to
That's
keep moving
right.
forward. So if you make a mistake, keep going. If that job didn't work, keep going. Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, understanding yourself gets you more aligned to what you need to tell people what you need. You got to tell people what you need and define that. You got to look at that and build that. Like you've hit all these things here. I mean, I don't even know what else to go
I mean, I
into.
told you I was better in person. Like I don't need to read the questions.
Yeah, you're right. Let me throw this out the window. But let's talk about Catalyst HQ. Let's talk about Agile
Yeah.
Dojo. Was it Dojo? I said it wrong. Yeah,
No, the Agile Product Dojo.
Agile Product Dojo. Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
How is the impact of that on the lives of people who want to get involved in those programs with you? And explain that.
Okay, yeah. So I'll start with the Agile Product Dojo because we really just we launched our first inaugural cohort.
Mm-hmm.
The whole purpose of the cohort is to pivot. The program that we have now that we're offering is pivot into product accelerator. The whole goal is to position you for the position in product. And so we specifically want to work with pivoters.
Mm-hmm.
So we specifically are working in this program with people who have mid-career professionals who have 4+ years of experience who are looking to pivot into the space of product management. Very niche, right? Not just
Mm-hmm.
tech, specifically in product management, which is a non-technical job in tech, and they make good money,
Great money.
right?
Great
And a
money.
lot of the spaces of product we need people who understand soft skills and strategy, and know how to
Mm-hmm.
think and understand trade-offs. And so, with that group of pivoters, what's really great about them is that they have a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're new to the industry. They're not new to the workforce.
Right.
And that's important to know because that's what the accelerator is focused on. So in the accelerator, we focus on teaching the core basis of product management, teaching creating career strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and interview prep because that's super important for positions in product. We will eventually become a recruiting company. I'm gonna throw that on out there to y'all.
Go
We'll become a
ahead.
recruiting company. That is the goal, right? Because we're gonna create the pipeline. So we want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to connect that pipeline. Um, and so that's one of the things. That's the first program that we with the Agile Product Dojo. My partner Thomas Gibson, he's a
Mm-hmm.
Scrum Master. Also, we will be getting into doing more one-on-ones with people in career strategy in particular. And then, of course, working with corporations and training product leaders and teams to better product leaders and teams to get 1% done. Right? I would say more than
Mm-hmm.
1%, but to get better to upskill those product leaders and teams. Um, then I have the catalyst, right? So why
Mm-hmm.
get people into product? I want to help entrepreneurs and organizations build products more efficiently,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? Um, the trouble that I constantly see is that people start with the doers and not with the thinkers, and start with the development and with the strategy.
Yeah.
And so I want to work with people to go through and work with a strategy end-to-end solutions to build end-to-end solution to build products, right? Software products in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So mobile app, web apps, customized software solutions. Organizations need that. And so that's what we're really focused on. Some of the capabilities that we have are product management, product strategy and implementation, UX design and experience, and software development, and of course maintenance. So we're able to keep up with that because I think people really fundamentally don't know what it takes to build software
Right.
within the catalyst, right? So that's a done for you. So we're working with entrepreneurs who have funding, startups, We can also be in an agency capacity to smaller organizations who need more capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as being able to have product and development right there to build their end-to-end solution, and they can't move as nimbly within the organization. So
Right.
sometimes you need to build it outside of the organization.
Right.
And then, of course, with larger organizations to really move in the transformation space. So really understanding how to transform uh, and be the product and development in the product and development space you need to be in. And we can build that with you and for you.
Right.
And so another space in there I'm a launch call is, build like a PM for entrepreneurs. It's going to be a whole nother program that's designed to help entrepreneurs who want to start a startup company or have a startup company to build and manage like a PM, like a product manager. So working in that space because I see the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I really want to work with those entrepreneurs to work through those with them.
Look at that. All this. I mean, you got two businesses going simultaneously, kind of covering the same stuff, but yeah, you got a good
And different
corporation
facets. You
side, and
have
then you
to,
got this elevation of people side. So it's giving back to the community as well as uplifting them to actually live into the space that's going to propel them. Then it's
heck yeah.
uplifting corporations. It's like, wow, come on now.
Yeah,
Come on now.
I'm going to move you into product and I'm going to help you build a product
I
and be
can't
better
wait
at
to get
that.
on the
So it's like a
yacht
linear
that you
space.
get. This is
And the difference that the things that I bring to the table with that is understanding that I'm a business person, but I also have the marketing and brand background. It's not like I don't have that or understand that. And I know the people that I can bring to the table to make that
yeah,
happen. Because that's a lot of the space, right? Is understanding who can help you.
right,
And how do I get in contact with those people? And are they bullshit? Because
right,
a lot of times people can't call bullshit on something they're not familiar with.
right, right. They're gonna let you just carry the torch to
Oh yeah.
a
And then
dark path. You're like, well, this isn't where we wanted to go. You got to know. Good. That's good. So let's roll and wrap this thing up because, man, you dropped a lot. You talked about a lot. You as a person, what you've been through. Again, we talked about pivoting. I think you have so many pivots. I mean, you walked, you traveled, talked about basketball. You picked up your pivot foot a couple times here, but
I mean
it's good. This is how you navigate life. You showcase how you navigated life, how you navigated careers, how you navigated your personal life through this whole entire space. But what you've learned and what you've gained is experience. You've gained process. You've gained knowledge to be able to now share that with the world. You know, this is incredible, and I thank you for being able to share your businesses, your life, and how to navigate and pivot through a career. I mean, especially for our African American women, this is this is greatly important to understand that you don't have to be afraid. You
yeah.
can take those chances. So my last question for you is what would, I think you probably already said it. So what would you give advice to those young people out here who need support, who would look up to you as a mentor, a leader? What would you give to them? Let's say a 20-year-old, 24-year-old, looking to build a career. What advice would you give them to do to start today?
Define success for yourself. Do not let your mom, your dad, your internship manager, or whoever else define what it looks like to you, and be and be clear on it. I want you to go in detail about it.
Yeah.
And learn to create that life, and be okay that as you gain more experience and that it will change and develop and evolve as you do the same. But start that now. Start the practice of defining success for you and trusting yourself to make a decision to go for that.
Wow. Define success for you. Be clear. That's awesome. That is amazing. Miss Kenyetta Hall, where can people contact you, get involved, want to mentor, want to be a part of your programs, your businesses? How can they reach out to you?
Oh, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kenyetta Hall. You can search me. I come right up. You'll see the smile. Also, you can go to thecatalyst.hq.com, spell catalyst with a K. My name is Kenyetta. And you can go there and do a contact us. So you can go to those two spaces. I'm on those spaces all the time. You can follow me on Instagram, Kenyetta Hall. I'm gonna do a lot more on there now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can hit me up in those spaces, and I'm always available to chat and talk.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a busy woman, but an incredible woman. And I thank you, Kenyetta, for joining this
Thank you.
podcast.
This
This
was
is
great.
incredible. No, it's awesome. I enjoy doing these. I'm getting better at them. My lighting's getting better. My
You
hair's
are.
nappy today. But I got the lights all sexy today, you know what I'm saying? But
You so silly.
this is an incredible time. I appreciate you for educating folks who are paying attention. People are really getting involved with the education of their careers. And this is an important podcast. But folks, keep watching us, keep paying attention. We are on all social media platforms. We're on Instagram,
Thank
we're on
you, Mark.
Facebook,
This was great.
you're on YouTube. We're on TikTok at The Blueprint by CTA. So if you all want to contact us and get more involved, you can go on to www.careertransformation.com, careertransformationacademy.com, and we can help you dig deeper into this entire process of how to land a job and build your skills for tomorrow and get that dream job that you desire. So this is another incredible podcast. Thank you, Kenyetta.
Thank
Go eat
you.
some dinner. I held you hostage. But
All
yeah,
right, bye. Thank you.
we're signing off. Thanks everybody. See you next time. Peace.